noble traveler. You've journeyed far and done well today. The weight you carry, the battles you've faced, they do not go unnoticed. But now it is time to lay down your sword and rest within the safety of these castle walls. You are safe here. You are seen. You are enough. The world beyond these walls can wait. The noise, the duties, the expectations, all shall quiet now. Tonight there is no need to be strong, no need to fight. Let the burdens slip from your shoulders. Let your thoughts grow soft. Let peace take their place. You are not alone. You are never alone. Even in silence, you are deeply cherished. You are worthy of love, of rest, of gentleness. The stars above shine for you, and the moon keeps watch as you sleep. The kingdom you build, within and beyond, grows stronger with each new dawn. And tomorrow you will rise again, as braver, wiser, kinder. But for now, be still, dear night. You've done more than enough. You've earned this peace. Let your heart rest easy. Let your spirit be soothed. The night is yours. Now, gentle night, take a moment to return to yourself. Feel the weight of your body sinking into the bed, like armor being lifted after a long day's ride. Begin at your crown. Soften your brow. Unclench your jaw. Let the tension melt from your neck, your shoulders, down through your arms, your chest, your back. Breathe deep. Feel your belly rise, then fall, like the slow breath of a dragon in sleep. You are allowed to let go. Let your body melt into the bed, like heavy armor sliding to the ground after a long and noble quest. Your legs, your feet, they grow heavy now. Still, safe. You are home. There now. Your body is at ease, your breath steady, your spirit calm. You've done the brave work of slowing down, of being still. The thoughts may still wander, and that's all right. Let them drift like leaves on a quiet stream. No need to follow. Just let them pass. You are safe here, held, grounded. Rest is not only deserved, it is sacred. Now that your body is calm and your mind is beginning to soften, you may close your eyes if you haven't already and simply listen. Let your imagination walk beside me as I tell you a tale of a brave, misunderstood knight, one whose heart was far greater than the legends ever told, a soul like yours, strong, tender, and searching for peace in a world that often misunderstands such depth. So rest now, noble traveler. Breathe easy, and let my story carry you into sleep. Not all heroes are born roaring. Some begin as whispers, unheard in a world of echoes. The wind curled gently through the quiet courtyard of the castle. It stirred the fallen leaves, whispered through the stone archways, and tugged playfully at the corners of a young knight's cloak. He stood alone by the old fountain, the one no one visited anymore, cracked stone, green with moss, and water that shimmered like a forgotten memory. His hands were folded over the hilt of a sword that still felt too large for him, though he was growing into it slowly. Quietly, they called him soft. They said he was too quiet, too thoughtful, that he wasn't made for battle, not bold enough, not loud enough. And yet, his heart beat steady. His eyes were kind, and though they didn't see it, he had a fire inside him, small but bright. Most days the other knights laughed when he passed, not cruelly, but carelessly, as if his gentleness was a thing to be pitied. He trained when no one watched. He read old scrolls by moonlight. He whispered thank yous to his sword after practice, and he sang softly to the stable horses when no one else was around. He didn't want glory. He wanted meaning, and yet he often wondered, was there a place in this world for someone like him one evening after a day filled with silent disappointments and words left unsaid? The young knight wandered beyond the castle gates. The stars had begun to bloom in the sky, slow and silver. The moon, high and pale, cast a soft glow across the meadows. He didn't know where his feet were taking him, only that his heart felt heavy. And the wind, it seemed to carry something strange, a whisper, so faint it could have been imagination. But it came again. Come, it said, not with words, but feeling, a pull deep and low. Come find what they do not see. The knight paused, heart quickening. His eyes lifted toward the tree line in the distance, the edge of the forest of whispers, a place wrapped in legend and mystery, a place the others warned against, laughed off with bravado. But something in him knew this was for him. This call was different, not a test of strength, a test of spirit. He hesitated, not from fear, but from disbelief. Could it be true? Could he be meant for something more? Then quietly, he stepped forward, one foot after the other, across the moonlit grass toward the unknown. He carried no map, no fanfare followed him, only the night wind and the steady thrum of his own heart. And as he crossed the threshold into the trees, the shadows shifted, not with menace, but with welcome. The forest did not resist him. It recognized him. Leaves brushed his shoulders like an old friend's embrace. Crickets hushed their song as he passed, as if listening. And somewhere deep within, the whisper called again, clearer now, you are not what they say, but you are more than they know. As he ventured further, the world behind him faded into silence. There was only the soft crunch of leaves beneath his boots and the breath of the forest around him. The young knight did not know where the path would lead. He did not know if he would be tested or if he would return. But in his chest, that quiet fire glowed a little brighter. He was no longer just the misunderstood boy behind stone walls. He was becoming something else. And the forest was listening. The deeper he walked into the forest of whispers, the more the world began to shift, subtly but undeniably. The trees leaned in like old storytellers, their trunks wide and wise, their bark etched with symbols he could not read, though they felt familiar. The air grew thicker, softer, not oppressive, more like a warm blanket draped over the shoulders. Somewhere above, the stars flickered through the canopy, watching. The young knight's breath slowed. With each step, the sounds of the waking world faded behind him. The clang of swords, the voices of doubt, the silent ache of not being understood. Here, there was only presence, and presence at last welcomed him. The path beneath him was uneven, tangled roots and soft moss, but he walked with care, as if not to disturb the slumber of the forest itself. And then he saw it, a light, faint, flickering, like a candle, left in the dark for a soul to find its way. It led him to a clearing, perfectly round, bathed in silver moonlight. At its center stood a stone, smooth, ancient, glowing faintly with golden runes. Moss clung to its base, and small white flowers bloomed beside it, their petals closed in sleep. He approached, drawn not by curiosity, but by a feeling, like the stone had been waiting, just for him. Etched into its face was a single symbol, a spiral wrapped in flame. He didn't know what it meant, but it stirred something in his chest. Something old, something true. He reached out, hesitantly, and laid his hand upon the stone. The moment his skin touched it, the world fell still. No wind, no breath, just silence and warmth, and then a voice, not from the stone, not from outside, from within. There is power in your quiet. There is strength in your softness. The world will try to shape you into something else. Let it try. You were never made to be like the rest. The knight's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of recognition. All his life he had tried to speak louder, stand taller, be sharper, for them, for their approval, for their definition of what a knight must be. But here, in this forest of dream and memory, he was seen, without armor, and he was enough. He fell to his knees before the stone, not in defeat, but in surrender. A different kind of strength, the kind that knows when to let go. The forest seemed to exhale, and in that stillness, the night whispered, "I don't want to be like them. I just want to be me." The words left his lips like an oath, a vow not shouted from battlements, but whispered under moonlight, and perhaps that made it stronger. The spiral on the stone pulsed softly, as if acknowledging him. From the trees, a shape began to emerge, slow, quiet, a figure wrapped in gray and silver robes, with a beard like snow and eyes like the edge of dawn. The knight rose slowly, startled, but the figure raised a hand, peaceful, patient. "You came," the figure said, voice like wind through branches. "Many do not." "Who are you?" the young knight asked. The figure smiled. "I am not here to answer that. I am here to ask you, who are you?" The knight hesitated. I don't know yet," he said truthfully. Good, the figure replied. Then your journey can begin. The forest behind the figure shimmered, paths unfolding like dreams. Across the earth, you will face trials, but not the kind of pain you're used to, not the rejection of others, but the shedding of their voices within you. You will meet shadows, but also light. And if you continue, if you choose to walk this path, you will not return the same. The night swallowed, uncertain. But you will return. Yes, the figure said, as yourself. Then the figure turned and began to walk. The path lit beneath his feet, step by step, inviting the night forward. The young knight stood there, heart racing with something new, not fear. Hope. He took one last look behind him. The old world, the courtyard, the cold stairs and quiet doubts, now far beyond the forest edge. Then he turned and followed the light. He did not know the trials ahead, but for the first time, he wanted to meet them, not to prove himself, but to find himself. The forest changed as he walked. Not suddenly, no crack of thunder or blaze of magic, but slowly, like a dream that deepens the longer you're in it. The trees grew taller, more twisted. Their leaves shimmered faintly, like they held starlight in their veins. The path beneath the knight's boots turned soft and mossy, springy with every step. The air was warmer here, not hot, just gentle, as if the world itself was sighing in relief to see someone like him. The figure in silver had vanished, fading into mist just beyond the last clearing. No goodbye, only a final glance, as if to say, "This is yours now." The knight walked on alone, but not lonely. For the first time in his life, the silence around him didn't feel like judgment. It felt like acceptance. It was there, in the quiet heart of the dreaming wood, that the forest began to speak, not in words, in moments. He first saw her by the river, a woman made of water and light, sitting on a smooth stone, her hair flowing like the current itself. She said nothing, but when she looked at him, memories stirred. He saw himself younger, sitting in the castle kitchen while the others feasted in the great hall. A servant had given him a slice of bread and a kind word, and it had meant the world. A moment no one else had noticed, but he had never forgotten. The water woman reached out, palm open. He took her hand, and the memory melted into mist. He continued on. Further into the woods, he found a fallen tree. Its roots had been ripped from the earth, yet flowers still bloomed on its branches. Beside it sat a fox, eyes gold, coat dusted with silver. "You survived," the fox said simply. The knight tilted his head. "I didn't do anything." The fox blinked slowly. "Sometimes survival is the doing." Then it turned and vanished between the trees, leaving behind a single feather that glowed faintly in the dark. He tucked it into his satchel. The forest never raised its voice, but it showed him pieces of himself, wounds he had buried, kindnesses he had dismissed, strength he didn't know he carried. And slowly, quietly, he began to understand. He wasn't weak because he felt deeply. He was strong because he had continued, even when no one clapped, even when no one believed. That night, he found a small hollow between two ancient trees and lay beneath their branches. Fireflies danced above him, painting the air in gold. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in what felt like forever, he slept without armor. He dreamed of voices, not cruel ones, but curious. Children laughing, a hand reaching for his, and just before waking, he heard one final whisper, "You are becoming." Morning in the dreaming wood was unlike any morning he had known. The light came slow and soft, filtered through leaves that turned into gold. Birds didn't sing, they hummed. The world didn't rush, it invited. The night rose, feeling different, not changed entirely, but lighter, like a heavy cloak had slipped from his shoulders. He walked forward, deeper into the forest, and the trees gave way to something new. A bridge, woven of roots and light, stretched over a canyon filled with mist. He stepped onto it, carefully. Each step made the bridge glow faintly beneath his boots. Halfway across, he paused. He looked down into the mist and saw not darkness, but reflections of himself, younger, smaller, eyes full of confusion and hope, and then older, stronger, holding a child in one arm, laughter in his throat, love written into every line on his face. He reached out to the reflection, but the sea mist rippled and the image faded. A voice echoed across the canyon. What you see is not a promise, but a possibility. You must choose it, walk toward it. And so he did. He crossed the bridge, and on the other side, the forest changed again. Not more dangerous, but deeper, wiser, and somewhere in the shadows ahead, a trial awaited, not of swords, but of self. The trees grew quiet as he entered the next clearing. No wind, no rustle, just stillness, thick like a held breath. In the center of the space stood a tall, ancient mirror, framed by twisting branches, its surface dim and silver. It pulsed faintly, as if alive, as if waiting. The knight approached slowly. His boots whispered against the earth. He had faced strange things in this forest. Spirits, memories, riddles. But this felt different. Not darker, not crueler. Just deeper, more intimate. He stood before the mirror, and it did not show his face. It showed the boy he used to be. Small, quiet, awkward, always trying too hard to please, to fit in, to be enough. The boy in the mirror looked up at him with wide, unsure eyes, and then the mirror began to speak, not aloud, but within him. Why did you leave me? Why did you try so hard to be someone else? The knight's chest ached. I didn't know how to be you, he whispered. They didn't like you. They laughed at you. I thought, if I became what they wanted, maybe they'd care. The boy looked down. His small hands trembled. They didn't, he said. The knight's throat tightened. No, they didn't. The siege forest waited, silent, sacred. Then the boy in the mirror looked up again, eyes now filled not with blame, but sadness. I was only ever waiting for you to love me. The words struck like an arrow, not sharp, but true. The knight stepped forward, gently placed a hand to the mirror's surface. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I see you now." The mirror pulsed softly beneath his touch. The boy smiled, a small, tentative smile, and then with a shimmer of light, faded into the knight's reflection. Only now the reflection looked whole, not perfect, but a complete. Tears slipped down the knight's cheeks, warm and quiet. At the base of the mirror, a fire sparked, small, blue and gold, rising from nothing. It danced without sound, without heat. He knew instinctively this was his flame, his spirit, his becoming. It was time. He knelt before it, lowering his head, not in submission, but in reverence. And the fire grew, not wild, not raging, just full, glowing, steady. It wrapped around him without burning, flowed through him, filled the spaces where doubt once lived. His heart beat louder, not with fear, but with knowing. He was still quiet, still gentle, but now he was also sure. When he stood, the flame had vanished, but its warmth remained in his chest. The mirror was gone. In its place, a path of golden light stretching forward, and for the first time in his journey, the knight smiled, a full, open smile. Not because he had reached the end, but because now he trusted himself to walk it. That night, as he walked beneath trees heavy with stars, a soft voice drifted through the leaves. Not outside, but within, you are not the noise they made you carry. You are not the silence they left you in. You are the flame that learned how to glow quietly and still be seen. The knight closed his eyes and let that truth settle in his bones. The forest opened for him, no longer shadowed or uncertain. Now it felt like walking through a living memory. Trees bowed slightly as he passed. The wind played through his hair like a friend reunited. Even the light was warmer, golden, like late afternoon sunlight filtered through a dream. He was still the same knight, but now he stood differently. His steps were no longer hesitant, his silence no longer heavy. He didn't need to speak to be heard. He passed back through places he'd walked before. The river where the woman of water had shown him kindness, now calm and glassy. The fox's fallen tree, now blooming brighter than before. Even the stone with the spiral burned softly with a golden glow. And when he stepped beyond the last edge of the forest of whispers, the world welcomed him, not with trumpets, not with parades, but with sunlight soft on his face, and something else too, eyes that saw him differently. Time passed, though how much the story never says. The young knight, no longer just young, but wise, did not chase titles or fame, but he rose quietly, steadily, not because he demanded respect, but because his presence invited it. He helped rebuild broken things. He listened where others would lecture. He showed others, especially the quiet ones, that they mattered, and in that soft strength, others bloomed. One day, in a village wrapped in golden fields, he met a woman, She was not royal. She was not loud. She was true. Her laugh was the sound of morning. Her gaze was steady as the stars, and when they spoke, there was no need for pretense, only presence. They built a home, not large, but full of warmth. They raised a family, not perfect, but deeply loved. There were days of joy and days of sorrow, but through them all, his flame never dimmed, because he no longer needed to prove himself. He simply was. In his later years, the knight would sometimes walk alone into the hills beyond his home, wrapped in a warm cloak, watching the sky turn from gold to violet. Children in the village told stories about him. The quiet knight who had once journeyed into a living forest and returned changed, but they never got the story quite right. Only his wife knew the real tale. Only his children saw the way he tended every flame in hearts, in his own soul. One evening, as the stars returned to the sky, his youngest daughter sat beside him on the hillside, her head resting against his shoulder. "Tell me again," she whispered, "about the forest." The knight smiled, his eyes distant and gentle. "Once," he said softly, "there was a boy who didn't quite fit. He felt things deeply and carried them quietly. The world misunderstood him, but the forest did not. So he followed a whisper and found himself." She looked up at him, eyes wide with wonder. Was it really magic? He looked down at her, brushing a curl from her forehead. "Yes," he said, "but not the kind with sparks and spells." Then he touched her chest, just over her heart. "The kind that lives here, quiet, brave, waiting to be believed in." And as night gently wrapped around them, the stars above shimmered, not loudly, but enough, just like him.